This episode is brought to you by Noble Pet Foods. No nonsense, no bull. Go to noblefoods.com, use promo code DOGTALK15, and they'll deliver dog food to your house with no bull.
I'm Liz Murdoch. I am talking with the dogs. A dog today, Zeeky, right? That's your name, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about what Zeeky wants us to know. Zeeky is a very good guy. He wants to talk. What do you want to say? We usually start Zeeky with favorite things. Yeah, and Zeeky and I just met. I don't know anything about his past. He says he has quite a past. You do. What do you want to talk about? So I like to talk about Zeeky favorite things. Do you have favorite things, Zeeky? Nice people. Okay, you like nice people who are gentle. And you can smell. Oh, interesting. So Zeeky says he can smell when people are not nice. There's different smells for different kinds of personalities. And you can tell about a person's behavior by how they smell. That's interesting. I thought that dogs knew about where people had been, what they'd eaten, but apparently you can tell about behavior of people by their smells. There's behavior messages in a person's smell. Okay, so smell is important to you, how a person smells. So just so you know, there's other dogs that are in the back, your friends. Some are better friends than others. Okay, so you can smell people, and how they behave is tied to how they smell. Okay, what else? So you like a gentle touch, nice people. You've had some bad experiences, but they're just bad people. Okay, so Zeeky wants people to know that sometimes a dog doesn't like a certain kind of person. They're reactive. And Zeeky's experience is saying, we can try and say, I need to train my dog to be less reactive. But from Zeeky's experience, sometimes it's better not to force it. Just stay away from those people. We can't change people. And we don't want to force a dog to change. It's not about changing the dog to be less reactive. It's about respecting that the dog is saying, this is not a person to be around. It's not that we need to train our dogs to be less reactive. We need to respect that there are certain situations that our dogs are not safe to be in. He's like, there, I've said it. Okay, Zeeky. So how's that tied to your favorite things? Because Zeeky likes nice people, safe people. You're very selective. And again, Zeeky is like, I'm very selective because I need to be selective, or I needed to be selective. It saved my life. Okay, wow. So this is a really interesting thing to me, Zeeky, because a lot of people talk about that. There's a lot of talk about reactive dogs and dogs that have been abused or not trained, that I need to get my dog to be less reactive when I walk it. And Zeeky is like, not necessarily. Sometimes you need to respect your dog, that is not a safe person for your dog to be around maybe right now. And it's not about forcing a dog to change. It's just like kids, where we say, if a child doesn't want to hug someone, you should never make your child hug someone. That it's not talked about enough, that sometimes it's okay to give a dog space, and they're not supposed to be with a certain kind of person, because there are people that are better not to be around for a certain dog or children. And I've never heard anyone talk that way. It's usually that we should train our dogs to be less reactive. And it sort of makes me want to cry, because he's like, no, there are some people that we want our dogs to be reactive, and it's life-saving to not be in those situations. What are your other favorite things that you like? People. I'm writing down the word whirlybird for some reason, and his dog mom is here. Do you know why I would write whirlybird? I get these colorful, it's sort of like toys. So when I'm doing an animal communication session with the dog, I will then say, tell me why. And they're these bright, colorful, it's like toys, like royal blue and purple. It's like being at a circus, but it's like bright colors. It's circles with like geometric designs on these circles. It's like, it's a feeling of art and carnival. It's interesting. It's playful. It's exciting, but it's orderly. This excitement again. So it's like a structure. It's like a very organized birthday party with these bright colors. Does this make any sense to you? What he's talking about? And sometimes it doesn't. It makes sense later.
The only thing I can think of where there's a lot of bright colors is, there's bright colors on my wall with my artwork, as you can see. And yes. I chose those because they make me happy, because I like the brightness.
Interesting.
So for me, when I look at the artwork of this artist, I have them in all my rooms. I have them in all my rooms. So I have them in the living room. As you can see, I've got 2 behind you.
And I hadn't even noticed them because there were 6 dogs.
And then there's 2 in my bedroom. So, he's in this room during the day. We spend most of our time in this room. And then at night, when we go to bed, and then he's on my bed, of course. Okay. I have a very big, bright painting. Very colorful, it is kind of carnival-y, I guess, if you see the artwork.
Okay.
I mean, it may not be that. It may. The other place where there's very bright colors that you're describing are when we go to the wellness center where we go. He started going. They have a lot of it's all dogs and they're cute paintings and they're all over. Like they have them a lot, like down right when you first walk in, and so that's very makes you kind of happy. And
so I'm looking at like the dog picture across the way, and there's a big purple nose that's a circle. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if he makes these out, and when the other dogs are out, because we'll have to show you that these other dogs, they're so nice and cute, different personalities, all sizes. And I think he likes it. It was a little chaotic. It was fun when they were all here because they were meeting me and smelling my own dogs. But I get that sense that he likes that environment. He loves this environment with his dogs. And I see that purple nose now. And it's sort of similar to what I drew. Mm-hmm. In fact, that he, it's sort of symbolic of the atmosphere when he comes into these environments where there's like that, but it's orderly, but fun and welcoming. He likes that. He's not a dog that he was adopted into your family. And he's not a dog that would be more content to go live in a home as the only dog. There are some dogs that want to be the only dog. They want it calm. But Zeeky likes it with a lot of coming and going. But he's correcting me. He likes it within reason. It's like the right mix. He doesn't want too much chaos. Hi, Zeke. Okay, so let's keep going. So we got this whirlybird kind of party festivity environment that you really like. You like the littles. You call them the little dog, the littles. He says, okay, so I don't know about his past, but he says there was another little dog that he was with previously. Do you know if he was with a little dog before he came here? Mm-hmm. He was?
Not as little as mine, but yes, there was.
So he's talking about he was with one before and they had a very special understanding. They looked after each other and they had an understanding, but they went their separate ways. And he's okay with that. Oh gosh. Okay. So here's what he's saying. When dogs go their separate ways, they tend to have an understanding about that. So when we see dogs that are together, that are bonded, and they have to be rehomed for some reason, or even in litters, he's saying, and dogs go separate ways, they have some kind of an understanding about that. And that he's saying, for the most part, I see the words like for the most part, we don't have to worry about them being broken up because they have an understanding. And with Zeke and this other little dog, they went separate ways, but it was as if they'd met for coffee and then it was over. They were together and then they went their separate ways, and he's okay with that. because he's supposed to be here now. He likes being here is because there are the littles that are here that remind him of his friend. He said, even though he's a big dog, and when I walked in, he was all over the place. He was crazy. That he's very comfortable with little dogs. He says, I look out for them, and he finds them comforting too. He finds it comforting to be with them because he's a dog that is meant to be with all kinds of people, all kinds of dogs. Is there anything else on your favorite things? So he does like food. Food comes up a lot. So we'll ask him, Zeek, about his food. Okay, so he gets a special food. Okay, so he considers it special food. They don't all eat the same thing. He gets something that's bigger from the little dogs, he says. And he uses the word, it's like a clump. I guess, does he get I don't know whether it's a canned food, but he gets something that's like a mush that's different than the little dogs. He gets more and he gets fed differently.
Well, he gets the same, but he does get something special sometimes, but not at his normal feeding.
Not at his normal feeding, but yeah, he gets something different.
Yes, he does get something different.
Because he thinks that it's important that he gets it separate from the other dogs. He likes his feeding time as much as the food because it's, again, we're back to it's like a party. Mm-hmm. So he likes that. And then, he says that it makes you happy too. You're very good at how you feed them. And he likes seeing you care for all the dogs because you pay attention that they each get their food. And with 6 dogs, they have to be, she doles it out. You have a rhythm on how you do that. And Zeke likes this party environment, but the structure of it and mealtime is like that. So we're in your house and it's quiet. Do you usually play music though? Sometimes when you're doing stuff?
Sometimes, not always. Not always.
Okay. So he's talking about the music, and then I drew a picture of what the music is like to him. It's like a curve, like a wave. Mm-hmm. It makes him, it's like the sound waves. It has however you would he's describing the music as sound waves, this rhythm of it that he feels, that he finds soothing. Gosh. So I know there are people that study sound and how it travels, but it's like he feels it. He's saying it passes through him and he likes that. He's showing me that besides calming music, he likes this music that has a rhythm that makes him feel a certain way. It calms him, not to sleep, but in terms of calming down as he interacts. Okay, so what else, Zeke? You got it so quiet. You like it that I'm here? He does like quiet time. He would like more quiet time. Should we talk about your special wheels or what you have? You want to talk about it? Okay, so he doesn't think it's something that how he moves around is something that he needs to talk about because it's not a big part of his identity to him. But he's like, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. He says it hurts to talk about. He took a little deep, whatever, like a sigh that I felt. Okay, but we don't have to talk about it. But what can we talk about that people might want to know or that's helpful for someone to learn? Oh, okay. He calls it happened. So there's an incident. It happened. He goes back to the bad people. So this is why he doesn't want bad people. He really wants to advocate for dogs not having to be friends with everybody and that dogs don't need to be trained to not be reactive. He has strong feelings about that I'm like, okay, we are not going to make people or dogs be around in situations with people where they're not comfortable. And it's not about training them to not be reactive. It's about keeping them safe. And so that is Zeke's message. And so when we ask about why does he walk that way? Because there are bad people, and I don't want to be made to be with bad people, and no dog should be made to be in situations where they're showing they don't trust us, who they're with. Okay. So we're glad you're safe, Zeke, and you're going to stay with people who you choose to be with, where you're comfortable. He says it's about being comfortable, and that just like children and people, dogs want to be with people they feel safe and comfortable with. Then he says, now he's laughing. He's sort of moving. It's this, that a disability, because and I saw when he walked in, he scoots around. He cannot jump on a couch by himself. He says it's a disability isn't necessarily what it seems to be, that it has opened doors for him, and he doesn't want to be pitied. He wants to be included, and he wants to be on the couch. He's like, you want to be on the couch. Okay, Zeke. So he says, that it's really more about wanting to be included than wanting to have a discussion about what is it like to not be able to do things. He wants to have the discussion, how do we help him feel included? And that people can figure out, like, I know we've made great strides with the wheels for dogs. He says there's other ways, like helping him get up on the couch. And for him, he likes the couch. Not all dogs. That's not necessarily what all dogs want. It's knowing what a dog wants and whether or not it can walk or whatever it is or hear, but it's knowing what it wants and getting accommodating the requests of the dog, not because it's deaf, not because it's unable to jump up, but saying, it's no different than my dog needs to go to the bathroom. It's at the door. It's pressing a button to go to the bathroom. Then get up and let the dog out and do that. And so that's what he likes about living here with you. So he says it's actually, he's living his best life. He loves his life. And he says that people overcomplicate it, and that, how do you know this? He knows. I guess he's heard a lot of talk about how to care for a dog, and it's a lot of work. And he said it's actually very simple. There's just simple things. You feed your dog, you get your dog to go to the bathroom, you have just time to be with your dog, like a friend, a best friend who you could have fun just looking at something. Things we do with our best friends are simple things. And dogs are the same way. He likes the simple things, and he wants to remind us of that it's not so complicated to do. Do you want to say anything else about your favorite things or your personality? Oh, personality. Okay. So Zeke has a big personality. And he says, but sometimes he gets lost in the shuffle. You do. Yeah, because they're the littles here. So he's clarifying about dogs. Dogs can have a big personality, but people can think that a dog's big personality, like a big woof or something, or a big, like, they get exuberant when someone comes in the house, like Zeke did when I walked in. Yeah. That's just because a dog does that or has a big bark doesn't mean it's always like that. Even though Zeke has a big presence some of the time. Right. There's more to me than just that. And that all dogs have different facets of them, like a diamond or a stone or anything, even a rock, he says, that they have one side and another side. And that when you pick a dog, I guess when you pick Zeke, when you pick a dog, it's like turn it over to make sure that you like both sides of the dog. And that you aren't just picking the dog because it's cute or it's little, but when you turn over, you see, oh, this little dog is going to become a big dog, or this little dog, Zeke's quiet now. He's all relaxed, but he's not always like this. And so know what both sides of your dog's personality are, because Zeke has his not so mellow side. He keeps making a point of that. He has his not so mellow side, so that if we were to choose to adopt him because of this, he's laughing. He's like, you would be fooled, huh? We would be fooled because you're not always like this, Zeke. Okay. So do you want to add anything to that, Mom, about his different personality side?
I mean, he definitely has a high energy, and he's very goofy and silly. He's for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then he could be very mellow, like he's being now.
Uh-huh.
I call him, he gets very lovey.
He's very lovey.
And very sweet. He's very content.
But he's not always like this.
No.
No. And he says not all dogs are, and that's true of all dogs. They have different sides of their personalities. Okay. That's a good reminder. Zeke, you're good. Okay. So what else do you want to say? Oh, he says you have some questions about him. What would you like to know?
Oh, I do?
Yeah. She's been wondering.
He may not want to answer this, but
okay,
because he had mentioned it, but it happened.
When it happened, yeah. What are you wondering?
Well, I have my suspicions,
mm-hmm.
but I would like to hear if he wants to talk about it, just because it might help me understand him better.
Okay.
Because there are things that I feel
that you get a feeling,
personality.
Oh, okay.
And just different situations. So for me, I assume,
okay,
because of certain behaviors, that's because of the it.
Okay. So it seems what you're saying is that he has triggers and he reacts certain ways in certain situations. And so Zeke, you said you didn't want to talk much, but he's showing me things. So he says there's multiple things that were going on, and there was noise. And maybe that's why he knows the difference between the structured party sound, that's a positive thing, and chaos noise that's not. That's like yelling and arguing and laugh, just jumbled together noises that make him nervous, that he's like on high alert. He's on high alert. And then there's also people that, and this is where it's interesting about the reactivity thing that we talked about, is that when it happened, there were different kinds of people involved. Those watching, those who were kind but did nothing, like a bystander, but nice, and mean, really mean. And so when he's in an unstructured situation with a lot going on, he's trying to make sense of what's going on. So those kinds of environments, it's like he doesn't know where to look. I know he's moving as we talk about this. I know in his eyes, he's totally changing. It's work for him to make sense of what's going on. And it gets blurred, the past and the present, of who's who, what's what, what's up and down. It's like he's disoriented, like when you don't know which way is up. I guess he was tossed, he was moved around. And so he's trying, he gets triggered by making sense of both the people and the noise and the movement. Does that make sense? All at once. Okay. Okay, so then he says, and then, so this happened, and then they left me. And it was quiet. So it was quiet, and he had to make sense of it being quiet. And that's why when you leave the music on, how it's reassuring, because it steadies him. It's not like he doesn't have to see what's going to happen next. It's predictable. And so he likes that, because being alone, he didn't know what was going to happen. And he was taking care of what's happening, like externally looking around, but also with his body. So these waves that he's feeling are just, it's like going through him like reassurance. Okay. So we're going to try and see what he can answer about when it happened, but what's now that she can help you with. So we're using it for good to help you with his care and when he gets triggered. There's a man that looks a certain way that sometimes he has difficulty differentiating between then and now. Have you ever noticed with a particular sort of look of a person that he will look, he'll take a double take. Okay. So I see that as something that is lingering. And people ask this question a lot about, or not a lot, but enough, about dogs having flashbacks and triggers to before they were adopted or rescued. And some dogs want to talk about it. Some dogs don't. They'll show different images or pictures. And because we can't really verify it, and I want to make sure I'm giving something helpful, I really try and ask the dog, how can this be used? And so he's saying, one, the chaos, he calls it like the chaos of things muffled, is hard for him to make sense of sometimes in certain situations, and to be aware of that, of when he needs your help for reassurance that you're okay. Two, you don't have to be with these people or that person. I'm going to take you here. You're safe. What else? The noise, the calm of the noise, it like resets him. He knows now what kind of music you're going to play. That's a cue to him that he's safe and you can go. And he says you could play that if you need to focus on something while you're home, you could play that music because it's a cue to him. Okay, let's see. What else? Have we covered everything that you're willing to share about when it happened? It hurt. Okay. He says it hurt, but not as much as you would think. And other things can hurt more. And it's like his heart hurt more. And his head trying to understand. His heart and his head, that was harder than his leg. Because it's like, why would they do that to me? Why would this? So there's the bad person, and this is true. I have worked with kids before on bullying. There's the person who does the bad thing, and then there's the bystander who allows it to happen and does nothing. And that's his confusion of the bystander as well. Why did they let that happen and do nothing? Why did others walk by and do nothing? And the person who did what they did. And he's bringing that in, that hurt his heart and his head in trying to understand, because dogs are constantly, he's a watcher. We've talked about that. He makes sense of things. To understand why it happened, what happened, was really hard for him to, I know, you're stretching. It was hard to make sense more than the incident, I guess, because the body goes into shock, so that it's, this took longer, this heart and this head pain, the heartache and the heartache and the confusion was what was worse, because that lasted, oh my gosh, that lasted much longer. Wow. That's a big thing. Zeek. Okay, so he says he wants to say something. I want her to know. He's going to do you. Yes, because she takes really good care. Okay. So he calls you the rescue lady. I guess, okay, so the rescue lady. There's other rescue ladies, but he knows he's home with you. Okay, so you want to say something like to all the rescue ladies. Oh. Okay, so he's showing me like there's all the different people that are involved and that got him here. He wants to say thank you. So there's all the different people here, and that I see the words doing your part. We can all do our part. The little part is like the link. There's the people who do the heavy lifting. Wow. it's the insight. So I talk in metaphors, but it's like you could have like two bricks, but then you can have the link. He said some people do like the heavy part. Like you're clearly a heavy part because he's living with you. But then the links make it happen, and that it's okay. So if whoever's listening, just be a link. If all you can do to help a dog is be a link, be a link. Because there were so many links that got him here to his home, that if it weren't for the links, it wouldn't have happened. And links are people who think they're just doing something little, whether it's the $5 donation or putting up a sign or whatever you can do, it's the links. So he likes the links. Then he likes the people he wants to thank, like you, who do the big stuff. Okay, so people who do the big stuff in dog rescue don't often meet each other, but he's like, you should, because you like each other. And he wants you to meet, you would like each other. Like if there's people who, whether or not with him or other dogs, this is just for anyone, that if there's somebody who drives transport for you, but you've never met them, follow up and let them know what happened to the dog. We don't always do that. We get busy. He says, but you all would like each other and you could learn from each other. So because he got to see all these different people along the way. And he wants you to know that you particularly, I'm pointing to his dog mom, you would like some of these people. And so he just wants to tell you that you would like some of these people you've never met that do this same or similar kind of work as you. Okay. He said you would like each other. He feels very strong that you would like each other. Okay. Something to consider. Okay, Zeke, do you want her to know anything else? He likes our cuddle time when it's just us. And one of the little dogs cuddles with him more than some of the others. Is there one that you can think of? He's showing me that one of them is definitely not all of them. There's time when it's just like one of them, it's calmer, and he likes that a lot. Okay. He notices that, I guess with his care, so he doesn't have his back paws. If anyone hasn't noticed that, he doesn't have them. And he has an outfit on that helps him. And he says that he notices the little things you do that make a difference, that people have said you don't need to do that, but he likes that you do, that you pay attention, like, oh, he likes it like this. And he wants to thank you. And he wants to tell you it does make a difference. It keeps him comfortable and it allows him to do what he does. Huh. Is there anything else? No, he says that's a big deal. Those things that you do. Okay. So he says that if someone is thinking about getting a dog that has something that needs extra work and they're not sure, he says the rescues will let you give it a try. Most of the good rescues don't even make it official until you've done a foster to adopt kind of thing. And he says you should give it a try and find out, because you might be surprised. He's like, that's what we did. He said, don't let it hold you back. Aw. Do you have any questions for him? Did you get enough answered about it?
Well, he probably doesn't want to talk about it.
Well, it's interesting because he moved around and then he stopped when we left it.
Yeah, which I understand he doesn't want to talk about it, because I know. I mean, just what he said, it confirms what I know.
I can go back and see if you're still wondering if there's any more puzzle pieces. Oh, he's funny. He's like, oh, she likes to know everything about things. Okay, she does. Okay, so is there anything else you can tell her? Oh, he does not want. It's like, no, he doesn't. He says it's not. It's like he's turning his head to get out of something. I just am like, it's uncomfortable. It's unpleasant. So why does she need to know? Because she's curious. A lot of people are curious about what happened to their dogs, or they wonder. It's the wondering. It's the wondering that's just as hard too. So he is reiterating, he says, it happened very fast, but the heartache, he goes back to, it's about the heartache. Yeah. That he was deceived and he was let down because he trusted. I guess he hasn't trusted everyone. I'm sorry. And it made it hard for him to trust. So he doesn't have resentment about not having his paws. I can feel him moving and the joy in his body. And when he moves around, he has joy. He loves the beach. The sand makes it really easy. That he's learned and he's learning to adapt. And he's just like, he takes it in stride. The now of his life. Yeah, he doesn't have much more to say about that.
It's okay. He's heard me talk about it. He knows I know.
Yeah, he does. But he's also sort of like, we can let it go.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. Because that was the past. Nothing we could do about it now.
No, if he needs help, the heartache, he knows about even the heartache was then in talking about it, but now it's more like he's focused on like, I like the music. This is what I like. I like the structure of when we go, like when there's the bright colors around and it's familiar and safe. And I think this is probably true for most dogs, that the present is what matters, and respecting what we know they like. That if they have a favorite leash, use that leash. If they have a favorite bed, let them have the bed. If you have two different people living in a house with different things about the couch, try and work it out so the dog understands. Zeke really likes knowing what's okay and all of that. And if you have a reactive dog with certain people, don't just try and respect that and not undo something that's keeping them feeling safe.
Ready to find out what your dog wants you to know? Visit talkingwiththedogs.com, book an appointment with me, and we'll find out.